Brock Purdy has a lot to answer to this weekend and a tough opponent to answer it against. We'll break down his interceptions against the Panthers. Plus, 49ers defense got some interceptions of their own. How did that happen? We'll explain next. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrero alongside Johnny Dell from the Johnny Dell Football Academy. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Appreciate, Johnny, you taking some time.
Absolutely. Hey, the faithful are faithful to us, so we will be faithful to them.
Yes, love to see it. A lot to break down on today's show. Of course, we're going to look at the Brock Purdy interceptions, what went wrong, what are some of the reasons for it, and hopefully how can he fix some of it. And we're also going to break down Ji'Ayir Brown's interceptions, 2 picks for him last week, reigning NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Congratulations, Ji'Ayir Brown. Not exactly a comeback I was predicting, but one I am happy to see nonetheless.
Absolutely. I will say both of our safeties played phenomenal last game. I mean, really just high level stuff. We even think back to the first Ji'Ayir Brown interception, that interception really only happens because Malik Mustafa makes a great open field tackle on Bryce Young on the play right before it. Both those guys were playing the fastest I've seen them play all season. They were running, they were hitting, they were attacking. Everything you want to see from our safeties in the way that we've played this style of defense. It really is exciting to see them put this together. I mean, these are two guys these were not the starting safeties at week one. Week 1, 2, 3. It was Marquise Siegel and Jason Pinnock. And so, they're finally really starting to glue. The communication looked 10 times better along the back end than it has in the last few weeks. These guys are talking, which tells you they are understanding what's going on. When it was Richard Sherman was talking to Upton Stat about that. He said, when everything's silent out there, that means everybody doesn't know what they're doing. Like people are confused when they're talking. Everybody knows, and you can see the communication on the field just much more active, which is really great to see.
You love to see it. You've pointed out on this channel the communication issues that the 49ers defense has had at certain times. So it is nice to see, as you would hopefully expect with the Robert Saleh coach defense, that as we have gone further in the year and we've had more reps and more film and all that stuff, that it has improved. And we will get to that in a little bit. But we got to start with Brock Purdy. It was just making you want to rip the hair out of your head watching the Niners against an inferior opponent do everything they could to keep Carolina in the game.
Yeah, I did a preview show on my channel on that Friday, and I said my score prediction was 30. I think it was 31-17 49ers. It was hard to see how you didn't win by 2 scores. Now, they still did, but it just felt like this should have been an even bigger blowout. And it started to get to the point where you're like, Brock, if you just don't turn the ball over, this game is a runaway. You just got to stop turning the ball over. Now, I don't put it all on Brock. I know people are going to say that with me. Oh, Johnny's always so easy on Brock Purdy. I have an issue with this guy, Jauan Jennings, running a lot of these routes. The 49ers quarterbacks targeting Jauan Jennings this year, their quarterback rating is 60.32. That's Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. That is their combined quarterback rating. Targeting everyone else, it's over 98. That is a huge drop-off. We have 13 interceptions on the year. 7 of them have come targeting Jauan Jennings. That is bad. There's an issue here. When you see one guy, when you target him, you have over 50% of your interceptions are happening. That tells you he's not separating one, he's not fighting for the ball, and he's not preventing interceptions. Those 2 things are our problem. And that kind of speaks to a guy who might be a little checked out. I kind of feel like Jauan is a little bit checked out this season, kind of like we saw with Mooney Ward at the beginning of the year last year. And then at the end of the season, he was like, yeah, I was checked out. I knew it was my last year in San Francisco. And so honestly, I was pretty checked out. And then the things happened with his family, which is obviously horrible. But he said before that he was checked out. That was his words. And it starts to kind of feel this way with Jauan Jennings. So, we're coming here. This is, again, it just kind of speaks to where your receiver core is. This is Sky Moore and Jauan Jennings. These are your receivers on the field.
Why? Where is Ricky Pearsall? Why, if you're going to have two receivers on the
Great
field,
question.
how is your first round draft pick not one of them?
And how, first round draft pick, Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Watkins, what is going on in the receiver rooms that this is what we're bringing out here? Because this is a problem. The Panthers are just going to be in cover 3 zone. So they got 3 deep is what they're going to end up in. They do have this 2 high presentation pre-snap, but we're going to run a play. We run this a lot. We run a little play action fake here with McCaffrey. We're going to run Sky Moore, what's called a far pylon route. He's just going to aim for the opposite side pylon and just run as fast as he can, try and take the top off. And then we're going to run Juwan Jennings on a deep in, or what Kyle calls a Dover route. This is what he calls these. We run a ton of these. Brock has historically been really good, but I can tell you, even thinking back to 2023, targeting Juwan Jennings on these has always been tight window. It's always been problems. He threw 2 interceptions against the Vikings that year. Or was it 2024, 2023? One of those two. He threw 2 interceptions against the Vikings, throwing this route to Juwan Jennings. But when we see him throw it to Ayuk and Debo, it's generally open. One of the reasons why is that both Ayuk and Debo can actually threaten the outside corner vertically, and that's a big deal here. And it just feels like Brock is not trusting him, and Brock's got to let this ball loose earlier. I get if you're not fully trusting what you're seeing, but you can't be late. So he's going to come out of the play action fake, and you're going to see that Sky Moore is running this deep third corner off. So you're clearing it out. They've come up on this run fake super hard. I mean, you got nobody in the intermediate zone. So Brock's going to throw this Dover route. Brock has got to get this ball out on time. So he's going to hit the back foot, hitch, 3 hitches. You can't do that. Ball's got to be out on time because this guy is not going to give you a lot of separation. So when he gets that separation, the ball's got to be out. And then it's got to be on target. Brock's going to throw this. It's going to end up just inside the hash. This needs to be more out to the middle of the field. And it's just going to be a little bit off. And again, when you have a Juwan Jennings, he's not creating a ton of separation. So you're going to have a JC Horn's going to make up space on him. So that ball has to be out there a little bit farther in front. And it's just picked.
Well, and the other thing I don't like is because I've seen Ricky Pearsall do this, where when he's running those routes, he doesn't just turn and run parallel to the yard markers on the field. He actually comes back to the quarterback a little bit and kind of curls it in almost so that the defensive back cannot get in front of him and disrupt the pass. And Juwan Jennings doesn't do that there. He stays pretty much parallel. And then you've got a corner that can use their makeup speed to come and make the pick. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So the coaching point on this, the playbook does notate that they want this to break at 16, roll to 20. But at 20, what Juwan Jennings does, he hits 20 and then he continues rolling, and then he's going to try and make a jump ball here. There's also the element of you need to work your way back to the ball a little bit and go make an aggressive catcher. Debo did this. Debo, for all of his faults, Debo, when he would run these, he would come back to the ball. He wanted to catch it on the run. He didn't stop and make a lot of big jump balls. If it was going to be something, he would work his way back to the ball and he would protect his quarterback here. So I have an issue with Juwan Jennings. It's not a good throw by Brock. This needs to be a little bit more accurate. That is a problem. It needs to come out on time. We see him make these throws on time. A lot of times you see it, the ball's going to be out and he's going to throw this. I showcased that. It was a couple weeks ago before Brock came in. He made a similar throw to Ricky Pearsall, throwing it with super high anticipation. He's not making that throw here. I don't know if it's, that him and Jennings are not, he's a little unsure if Jennings is going to be there on time. I don't know if that's what's going on, or if it's just, is Brock second guessing his reads, and is it just, just a split second later? I don't know. But whatever the case is, it's not acceptable. You can't be throwing an interception at this point in the field when you get that. I would like to see more separation, but yeah.
That look, too, like you talked about, the linebackers are sucked up. There's nobody there that you're waiting on. It's just Juwan and his man. So you should be able to throw with anticipation without hitching because there's nothing clouding the picture.
Right. Right. And the only thing I can think that is why you don't let it loose is you're just unsure if Juwan is going to be in the right place. That's the only thing I can think of, because we either that or Brock is just really second guessing things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two things is happening. I don't know which. I'm sure everybody that watches this will have their own opinions on that. People love to have opinions on 49ers quarterbacks, but we've always, people have said, well, Brock's got to quit forcing the ball down the field and take what's underneath. In this case, ain't nothing there underneath, and there's no reason to not pull the trigger on this throw. It's got to be a better throw. It's got to be a better effort on the catch. It's just got to be better all around. You're also asking your quarterback to make a really tight window throw if you're Juwan Jennings. Like, Juwan, you can't let that happen. I'm getting more and more frustrated with them as the year goes, and I know you are as well. And so I'm trying not to let that bleed into it, because and just say, well, I'm just going to blame Juwan Jennings here. In the end, Brock Purdy's the one who threw the ball. It left his hand and it ended up in the opposite team's hand. So it's on Brock in the end. So that's where it goes. This is the interception I think that irritated me the most with Brock. Like, so we're going to run a little in out with Pearsall here. No one travels on the defense. So it tells you it's going to be zone coverage. They're presenting a high safety and a low safety. So this tells you it's probably going to be cover 3 zone. So you're going to have a deep safety, you have a deep safety or a deep corner, and you're going to have a deep third corner. We're going to run what's called a Mills concept. So you're going to run, it's going to be Juwan Jennings on a basic route. So that's a 10 to 12 yard in route. And then you're going to run Ricky Pearsall on a field post. So this is going to be a deep post. I think it breaks at 18 yards is what the field post is. So the idea is you're going to put this deep third corner in, or deep third safety in a vertical stretch. This is a play it's used to be cover 3, cover 4. Yes, you can throw over the top with cover 4, because this is a coverage that is specifically meant to beat cover 4 over the top. Just throw back to the old conversation that we're going to run here. So Brock, he's going to see this. Okay, he's going to look off to the left, and then he's going to step up as he gets pressure. And you see this deep third corner is going to match Juwan Jennings on his basic route. So he's driven on the low, you throw the high. That's why he triggers this throw. I don't have a problem with the decision. There's a really poor execution on the throw. Like, Brock has a really, really clear runway. Either you step up, set your feet, and make this throw. I'm okay with that. We've seen him make some touchdowns. It reminds me of the touchdown pass to George Kittle against the Cowboys in 2023. He stepped up a little bit to his right, and he launched it on the run, and he hit George Kittle perfectly in stride on the right sideline. Okay, like, you want to make that one, but you're not throwing to your right here. You're throwing to your left. That is harder to do for a quarterback on the run. So stop. If you're going to make this throw, set your feet, make the throw, make a good throw. Or if you're not going to set your feet, take off and run. You got tons of room. Either one of those. What he does here is kind of I'm trying not to say anything inappropriate, an illegitimate child of the two. So this is the illegitimate child of not being decisive on run or pass, and he makes a run on. There's no reason to make this throw on the run. There is nobody within 5 yards of you.
That's the most frustrating part. The decision is fine. This isn't Brock Purdy trying to be Superman. Pearsall is open. He is clearly open. That's exactly the look you want on this play. So everything is going according to plan, and yet Brock Purdy has chosen violence, essentially. Like, dude, set your feet and deliver the ball, or like you said, run or throw it to Kittle. Like, Kittle was right there in front of him too. He chose the worst possible option of all of them.
And that's where it feels like he's just getting a little too clouded in his mind at this point. Because it's like, okay, like, if either you're going to be on time, you're going to set your feet and you're going to throw, or you say, because the read that you had triggered it, or you turn it down and you go get the yards in front of you. Like, this is one of those of, like, you need to be more decisive here of, are you going to make this play and make it well? Because Demarcus Robinson, it really heads up here. This was kind of overlooked in the whole thing. He's going to see Brock launching this ball, and he's going to settle up in here to keep his man from being able to go get this ball. So he's doing this is, I mean, if you were to draw this play up and you're a head coach and you're saying this should be a home run shot, this is awesome. This is when we look at Kyle Shanahan and say, oh, he's a genius. He's drawn this up so well. I mean, you can see Demarcus Robinson's turning around, acting like he's going to catch it. And so his guy's got his back turned. The safety can't get there in time. Pearsall has separation, and the ball just doesn't get out in front enough because you're trying to make this throw on the run. Be decisive on here. Set your feet, make a good throw, or take off and run and get the first down. Like either one of those, what you did here was the worst of those three choices. And so, yeah, this is the interception that drove me nuts.
Oh, look at that. There's so much green in front of him when you see it from the end zone view. It is so bad. And just all parts of it are bad. The throw, why make a throw harder? He's throwing off 1 foot, his right foot, which I think that's the bad toe foot, if I remember correctly. Like, dude, there's no reason for that. Just do the easy thing the easy way.
Yeah, and if you're going to throw off one leg, you generally go off your left. But it's just and that's why this ball sails short and to the right. It's like Brock. I mean, you put that ball. That ball needs to be out here towards the 9, the top of the 9. And if it is, it's a touchdown, and we're saying Brock's doing Brock things. That's the difference: is set your feet or don't. So super frustrating.
Oh man, I wish we only had 2 to break down, Johnny.
I do. Now I will say this one, when you could see by Kyle's look after the play, he was as confused as everybody of like, where did this guy come from? This is a wild play. So they're going to end up being in cover 6 here. So the Panthers, so it's a deep half safety, a deep quarters safety, and a deep quarters corner. That means you have 4 underneath zone players, 3 deep, and then a half field and quarters. So we're going to run, this is our staple play. We're going to run the dagger concept. We're going to go hard play action with McCaffrey. Then you're going to run Jauan Jennings on a deep through route. So he'll start his attack angle at the near safety, then cut across into the open space. And then you have Ricky Pearsall run a wide and over. Same route that we saw with Jennings. It's this wide and over route. This is a play that, I mean, again, people say, well, you got to take the things that are underneath. There's nothing underneath on this play. So we're going to come with this play action. And then you're going to see as McCaffrey breaks out into the route, the defensive end drops off. This is a 3-man rush. So the defensive end is going to drop off to take away McCaffrey. These 2 guys, eyes to McCaffrey, are going to start working down. And Jennings is taking the quarters safety out. We have a rail route here from Demarcus Robinson. That's going to pull the half field safety. So you've got Pearsall breaking in on this Dover route. And so I see exactly why Brock made this throw. Again, it's what Kyle Shanahan said. It was the right decision. 1, maybe a little late, and 2, then this guy, J.C. Horn, he's supposed to be a quarters corner out here. And this dude, once he sees Jennings come on this deep through route, he's saying, I know what's coming next. It's going to be this Dover, over a third of the teams in the NFL run this play, the dagger concept. I mean, this goes back to Mike Martz used to run this all the time with the Rams, run that clearing route down the middle and then that big deep in cutting route. JC Horn's on an alert. He's going to go and just beeline to the middle of the field. And so I don't expect Brock to see this. And Troy Aikman said the same thing. Kyle said the same. George Kittle said the same thing. So, it's there, but the ball should be out a little bit sooner. And this is also one, I will say, Kyle, I think you need to have something here with George Kittle that goes vertical. If you're going to have McCaffrey underneath as an outlet, then you should be moving George Kittle at least vertical some way to occupy this guy. Like, you need to have something on the backside to hold him up, because Jauan Jennings ain't doing it. Like, they are completely okay with a safety taking him one-on-one deep down the field. So, that's a great play by J.C. Horn. I mean, that one's, it's hard for me to look at it as at a quarterback and say, man, you should have seen the backside corner running across the field. That's hard. But either way, you cut these things. 3 interceptions is not good.
And I felt like Aikman too was immediately was like, holy crap, what happened? Like he kind of took the onus off Brock a little bit. Man, that's fine. Like sometimes defenders make good plays too, and JC Horn's a really good corner. Like it's okay to say that. And if you don't have the other interceptions, people are looking at this and they're like, hey, Brock,
Right.
tough one, you know? But when you've thrown 2 other picks in the game, people are not going to give you the same kind of grace
Right.
there. And so that's the situation that we're in. You know, not every interception is the same. I think there's a little more context for this one, but 3 interceptions is 3 interceptions, and that is a bummer.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. You have grace for that one and say, well, no quarterback's going to see that. That's fine. The other 2 is what makes this kind of the straw that breaks the back. And you go, good Lord, that the bleeding has to stop. Just far too many turnovers this year. Brock's just had way too many turnovers this year. I think he's got 8 turnovers this year. That's unacceptable. You can't do that in 4 games and expect to win. That's like JT O'Sullivan 2010 kind of stuff.
Dude, JT O'Sullivan catching strays. Wow, on Thanksgiving even. Boy.
Well, I mean, I had to. Look, I remember that. Well, he was averaging like 3 turnovers a game in 2000. Was it 2010? The year Mike Martz was here. It was not good. The one glimmer of hope that I saw on this was that I never saw Brock lose his confidence. And he was still willing to sling it, and he still made some high level throws down the stretch. This was one of them. It was right before the half. So, here we're going to bring Pearsall in motion, and this sets up a field goal. So we're going to run a little sail concept here. We saw this last week against the Cardinals. We're going to run a clearing route. We're going to run George Kittle on a sail route, and then Christian McCaffrey on a flat route. And the Panthers are showing too high. They're going to be in a two zone. So they have deep half zones here. You're going to have then 5 underneath as you get your 5 underneath zone defenders that are going to be in these areas with my beautiful drawing on Thanksgiving. So Brock he's going to see this at the snap. He knows, okay, verifies cover 2. So he knows that Pearsall's route's going to be taken away with this deep half safety. So he's going to then high-low this guy. And this guy does a good job of playing this in between. So what he's going to do is he says, okay, I'm going to hold up George Kittle before he can get over here to the cloud. So I've got to move this guy. And so I'm going to move him with my eyes inside, and I'm going to hit George in the void. We'll see this really well from the end zone. Just a really, I mean, you can see on the all 22, this guy moves inside. You'll see why. And you see this guy's coming up, JC Horn, and he's going to lead him away from JC Horn and get it right in the void, gets a big chunk play that sets the 49ers up for a field goal. So we'll see this from the end zone. And we saw this last week versus the Cardinals of why that guy gets moved and why I still go, okay, these are the plays when Brock does this, it is beautiful. So he's got his head stripe right down the middle of the field. He's looking at it. We know he's reading to his left, that his eyes are actually looking to his left, where the concept is. He's going to start the throw, wind up, and look where he's looking. His head stripe is pointed right down the middle of the field. That's why these guys are going to move. And so he's moving them with his eyes. I mean, even into the throw, his head stripe's around here. You're going to see these guys move because of it. That he moves them with his eyes, and he opens up that void to George Kittle. And I mean, that is a high-level play. That is a really high-level play. So I see that, and I go, okay, you still can do this, but you've got to stop the turnovers. We need that without the turnovers. You do that consistently without those turnovers, we're having a very different conversation about who you are.
And I will just say that play on the broadcast scared the hell out of me because I was terrified he was going to throw another pick at that point. And just the broadcast angle, it just looked scarier. And then when I watched that on the all 22, it's a much easier looking throw than I thought it was. So that does fill me with a little hope because on the broadcast, I was like, oh my God, he's still putting
I think all of us we were like, oh, and that's the struggle too, when a quarterback throws 3 picks and we start getting the Jimmy G PTSD of him not seeing those guys over the middle. And so I think it does speak to, again, the throws he was making weren't bad decisions. It was poor execution of that. And those are two very different things. What we can have a different conversation about, does Brock have the tools to correct those poor throws, or is that just who he is and he's going to be a mid tier kind of accuracy guy or something? That's a different conversation, but I was seeing good decisions as far as where he was going to throw the ball. That was one of the things that would just drive you nuts about Jimmy G, is he would sometimes, it was like, I'm not even going to read the safety sitting there. I'm just making this throw. The post-snap operation was not good, and he'd either get his guy killed or it'd be a terrible pick at the worst time. I still saw Brock seeing they came with unblocked blitzers several times on him, and he just beat him with a hot throw. And I was seeing that. I'm like, okay, that's good. Okay, you're still seeing the field well. It's the execution on some of these. You got to rein it in. It's got to tighten up. You were paid a lot of money, so you have to execute at a high level. I don't care, what the extracurriculars or extras are.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code GSPE. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
All right. Well, that is a little bit of hope. I like that. You gave me a little, mouthwash, so to speak, to rinse the taste out of my mouth. Now let's look at some good plays for the 49ers. And those came on defense, courtesy of Ji'Ayir Brown, starting with this one, a massive play after the first Brock Purdy interception. Carolina's going in, possibly to tie the score. And Ji'Ayir Brown says, not so fast, my friend.
100%. Yeah. So, this is a really good play by him. Because he's not a deep player here. He's a flat player. Like he's supposed to be in the flat. So what they're doing is they're running this old waggle. So they're going to come with a play action fake. They're going to pull this guard to come and block out. And they're going to roll out this way. They're going to get the backside tight end coming across. Brent Jones used to run this all the time. Like he would sometimes fall down in here, just like act like he would dive on the ground, act like he was doing something. Then he'd get up and run to the back. You're trying to get him lost in the vision. So you run this kind of fake and you roll out and you slip him in behind everybody else. You bring in an extra tight end or an extra tackle, as a tight end. So you see that guy there. They got all big guys on the field. So you got 2 tight ends, you got 2 backs, you got an extra tackle in there. This is all big guys. And he's gonna see it one to get his eyes looking down this way. He's reading the lineman. I love that, because what he's looking for is this actually a run? And he sees these linemen aren't going downfield. They're not driving anybody downfield. They're not trying to seal anybody off. So he says, okay, this is a pass all the way. I love where his eyes are. He's going to read that out. And so then he says, okay, this is a pass. Now I'm going to read the quarterback's body language. He's going to throw. I'm going to track where his shoulders are, because that's going to tell me where he's going to throw. And so he's feeling this route. He never actually turns and locates the tight end. This is all feel and reading, which is super high IQ play here, to then track it and then go make the interception. Double catch it the first time. It's easier. But he makes the interception. Super high level play here. He knows this guy is not a receiver. He's a lineman. So he doesn't care about him as a receiver. Can't do it. Knows he's got Sam O working his way out here. And he's just going to fall off and pick the ball off. I love this play from Ji'Ayir. Because this should be a touchdown.
Incredible play by Ji'Ayir Brown. Bryce Young, why don't you just run it in? You got a lineman out, and he's sitting there. Like, first of all, look, what the hell? I couldn't believe it. But Ji'Ayir Brown, I saw an interview that he did talking about, like, yeah, I was supposed to be responsible for the flat, but there was no work essentially for him. There's nothing for him to do. And so he knows I can just read the quarterback and react. And for him to actually make the catch too, because that's part of it. So many times this year, we've seen Niners DBs not actually secure the interception. He secures it, keeps his feet in bounds, and a huge opportunity for the Panthers turns into a massive win for the 49ers. It completely lets Brock Purdy off the hook for the interception. And it was just a massive turning point in the game.
And we're all feeling this vibe. of these fans in here jumping up and down. I'm not sure what this guy's doing. He's just kind of there on his phone. It's like, okay, that was cool. Get into the game, man.
Come on, you got seats. You might as well watch the damn game. They ain't cheap.
That's right. That's right. So then we get the interception here against Ji'Ayir Brown, against Tet McMillan here. This is a really good play by a number of guys. This is all like 3 different elements coming into play to make this interception happen. So they're just trying to run a little basic route here with Tet McMillan and Renardo Green, vet move. He's going to say, okay, this is a young guy. I'm going to give him a little hold here. When he sticks his arm out to try and get separation, I'm going to grab a little bit. And he holds him up just a little bit. And look, all's fair in push and shove. So you get also Ji'Ayir Brown, good job of reading the drop of the quarterback, and he's going to drive on this throw. But why does this throw even happen? Because he's got a guy here. He's got a guy here. He can outlet this. He doesn't have to force the throw, but you get pressure. Oh, the most elusive word from the 49ers. You get pressure on Bryce Young right in his face, and so he's going to throw this ball out there, force it in there. Ji'Ayir Brown comes up with the interception. Okay, so how did they generate pressure? We're going to look at this from the end zone. This is a really nice job of a stunt here. So we got Bryce Huff, our fastest, most athletic pass rusher out here. So we're gonna run an old Solace staple. So you're gonna take, this is Curtis Robinson. You're gonna attack the inside shoulder of the guard. You want to threaten both, or the tackle. You want to threaten both the guard and the tackle. You want to occupy both these guys. Jordan Elliott, you're going to cross the face of the center. So we're trying to draw a center slide towards Jordan Elliott. So if you see, we got 3 threats to the right, and we got 2 threats to the left. So you're trying to draw a slide to Jordan Elliott. So we're going to then have Jordan Elliott grab the left shoulder of the center and pull him that way, so that you can now move all of these guys to their left. And then you have Kalia Davis attack vertical. This is Keon White attack vertical. So their tackle has to step out. Their guard has to step out. That will create you a lane right through here for Bryce Huff. And Bryce Huff has the athleticism to pull this off. So he's going to take a step in and then work through, and peekaboo as he comes right through the hole. Jordan Elliott's doing a great job occupying the center on that. Kalia Davis is occupying the guard. So you get Bryce Huff right through, unblocked, through the hole. So Bryce Young is going to see that color flash, and he's going to try and get rid of the ball as quickly as he can. He throws it out there, and bam, interception by Ji'Ayir Brown.
Hell of a catch, too, through the contact by Ji'Ayir Brown. So imagine that. If you get pressure on a quarterback, they make bad decisions with where they throw the football. Sometimes it's a little not as complicated, I should say, as we make it out to be. But just nice, good team defense there by the 49ers leads to another interception. And yeah, second straight game with multiple turnovers forced by Robert Saleh's defense. I'm on record as saying that the 49ers need 5 T's a game if they're going to be successful. Could be 5 touchdowns, could be 5 turnovers forced by the defense, or some combination thereof. And if the defense can keep turning teams over, that'll obviously improve the Niners' chances down the stretch of the year. Well, thank you so much, Johnny, for breaking it down for us. We appreciate the time. Again, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And we will be back studying the game for Friday, the breakdown, and then the instant reaction game on Sunday as well. Thank you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Johnny Dale Football Academy on YouTube for even more film breakdowns, and we'll talk to you next week.